Hi everyone, this is Sarang here from Humans Behind HR. This is a show that we do every month to bring those amazing talent within the HR and recruitment fraternity, people who are doing some really impactful work in the industry. We get to know their journey, we get to learn from them, and we get to see the side of people who are humans, but obviously doing a human resource work, and really learn from them, their journey and their experiences. I'm sure it will be a good experience for all of you. I hope you had seen the first part of it with Achut Menon, and obviously thanks to the sourcing at dark community for being the partner for this show. So today I'm really happy to introduce you to Arindam Deb, who's here with us. So welcome Arindam to the show.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for having me.
Okay, great. So Arindam, tell us about yourself, what you currently do, what's your role, and with whom you are currently associated with.
Awesome. So I work for a company which is called Akamai Technology. So it's the world's leading CDN and cybersecurity company of the world right now. So we drive world's 30% internet traffic, and we have close to around 335,000 servers all over the globe. So we are located geographically almost everywhere. So I'm a part of the talents sourcing and research team, and also into market intelligence and probably giving a market advisory to the leadership as well. So I take care of sourcing in most of the region of EMEA as well as some part of the Asia Pacific as well on need basis whenever they require support. But majorly, I also support the leadership team in identifying the location, the places where you find those ideal talents. So I am someone who gives the advisory inputs on which location we should tap in order to close this role at the earliest. So that's a brief about what we do. So there are so many things I do, but this is something which to give you an idea in a nutshell about what I do.
Great. So I know Arindam from, I guess, the sourcing Premier League that sourcing at that did, and I was blown away by his technical sourcing abilities, and I think he came across to me as one of those people who's really techy, and obviously we'll speak about that side of his personality very soon. But Arindam, I mean, when we normally start the show, I ask this question, Uh, if I have to ask you, to define yourself, I'm a human behind HR. Who? How would you complete this sentence?
Well, that's an interesting question, Sarang, but I would try to say that I'm someone who tries to bring that gratitude and work more towards matchmaking the right career roadmap using emotional IQ. Because you know what? Robot or machine cannot do that, right? So, you know what? I follow a philosophy that says that technology enables, but experience, wisdom, and gratitude converts. Considering the current market scenario, what you're saying it. So, yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay, great. So obviously being human and empathetic and, as you said, emotional quotient, that's I think an important part within HR or recruitment. So Arindam, tell us about your journey. I've seen your LinkedIn profile. You come from education, the HR learning background. I mean, that's your professional learning. A lot of people who come from the HR education enters into the what they call it, the talent management, or sometimes called core HR. For again, I don't really understand what that means, but into that space. But you are one of those very few people who stuck with recruitment, and even within the recruitment, I think you built your SME or expertise in sourcing. So what made you to choose a recruitment career? Was this an accidental choice or a very, very conscious decision?
Well, it was something which I decided when I was just doing my graduation. So I do have a very interesting background of my graduation, what I did in my graduation. So I'm actually a bachelor in insurance and risk management graduate. So my background and understanding about people started from there because when you try to understand about what life insurance is, what health insurance is, you talk about people, right? So that interesting connect about people happened over there, and post that I went doing an MBA. uh, I was always a marketing guy who loves to do marketing stuffs altogether. But you know what? I always have that language barrier while working out here in Bangalore. So because once you are into the marketing career, language is what connects between a person A to a person B. So I felt there was a gap, but how can I close that gap? So that's where my thought came into picture that I should go into HR because that's where I can use my marketing skill and the language barrier can be narrowed down altogether. So I would say, just to answer your question, it was always by choice. It was never by chance. So I always had a thought in mind that I'll go into this area and this is what I wanted to do. And that's why I would say that why I love this job, because this is a part of my hobby and I'm getting paid for it. So that's what I'm saying, that that's why I like this part very much. And I would like to continue in this career path throughout as well and become a subject matter expert. Futuristically is what I'm looking at.
Okay, perfect. But even if we talk within your career path, recruitment, a lot of people becomes, I mean, want to become a end-to-end life cycle recruiter. A lot of people enjoys the stakeholder management or the that side of recruitment. But throughout your career, from a global sourcing perspective, I think you've always been passionate about sourcing and candidate engagement. So how that comes into picture, and why do you really like or prefer that part compared to the others? And you said about SME, so yeah, why you chose that?
I always like technology, and in fact, what you could do if you wanted to be associative with HR and you love technology, sourcing is the right path what you choose because you get an hands-on working on so many stuff to find people, and eventually not only finding people, then how you're going to convert them, what are the things you have to look forward to. So in fact, you have to be a little technically strong in order to continue the journey throughout. So the reason why I chose this path because I love technology and I love to connect to people. So I would say it's a fusion between the both, which is turning out to be I would say a great match, which eventually is turning out, what I always wanted to do. So that's how I would say that connect what I made in the sourcing perspective, if I have to say there.
Okay. And Arindam, you've done some interesting work on building some technology kind of programs or codes which can help people to find, source or automate few things. Can you talk a little bit about, that part of your passion and hobby?
Well, those are very interesting projects which I usually do on weekends because, since I told you this is a part of my hobby, so I like doing a lot of experimentation all around. So I always try to make my things more easier, that how you can be more productive at what work you do and how you can, touch many lives the way how you could bring all this technology into place. Okay, so on the technology perspective, if I have to talk about, so it's more about, see, there are thousands of tools that are available. So it's not right, you have to write codes yourself. So it's more about how you're using those, tools in a right way, which will eventually result in some better outcomes. So that's what I usually do. So eventually, say for example, if I have to say that if you have hired someone and if you wanted to have an understanding about what's the actual social behavior of that person, because you can bring out a predictability model based on that, which will certainly ascertain you that what's the percentage or what's the possibility of that person would join your company. So say for example, there are tools which are available, but mostly coding related, they run on Python, so you have to be a little bit sound on those technical aspect of yours, which will certainly pull the footprints of the social behavior of the individual and give you at a single sheet of paper. So you could see that what exactly the behavior of that person is that person getting involved into whatever, or probably they are actually looking into different contents what you have created, or rather say for example, there are so many events that happens and you send out an invitation to that person, was that person an attendee of that event or not? So you see what exactly the social behavior of that person, and then try to predict that what's the chances of that person is taking interest in the offer that you have made. So you have an idea, actually you have an idea that what exactly is that person up to, and you build up an probability ratio that what should be the percentage of this person joining based on the interest level of the content that is there on your I mean about your company over the over any platforms, if I have to say there. So probably I would say this is something which help you out use technology in order to in fact get all those information, gather all those information, put it at one place and get the information about the people. So similarly, you could use this technology in lot other areas as well, like finding people, rather to understand how you can approach them, any certain information which you could gather, which we call it as ocean technique, right? Open source internet uh, platform which we
Yeah.
use usually. So you gather information, use those information, and then start your conversation with the candidate based on the information that you have. So it's mostly about gathering information and giving those outcome based on that. So yeah, this is something which I usually do in order to take all the information and then talk to the candidate in order to convert them. And certainly those conversations are very interesting because once you know about an individual and then give an outcome to that, that certainly turns out to be a great conversation. That ends up to be a great conversation, and that connect happens very well.
Okay, so basically you are using tech for enabling those conversations to have the informed discussion so that you have more information about the candidate to convert him or her to join, whereas just looking at a piece of resume but having a broader social footprint. I think that's really amazing. So I think you spoke about a very interesting topic about people joining, because currently the offer to join ratio in the market is very competitive. So guys, if you need any more help or any more information, please reach out to Arindam. He's I'm sure he will have interesting stuff to talk about with you. Okay, so Arindam, I think we spoke about sourcing, your passion in technology, your passion in candidates. So how you have seen, and I think you have been working in this roles in some different shape and form for last few years. How you have seen this, the sourcing and candidate engagement changed over the few years. There was a point of time when sourcing was all about obsessing of getting candidates through these very niche sites and Boolean and X-ray, all of that. Do you still see that being a challenge, or are you seeing that candidate the market has moved on to a different set of challenges?
Well, there's a gradual shift in the market right now. So it's not all about finding people right now. It's all about converting them, and candidate is more important. So for that, what you require is an gratitude that you show towards them, because every individual out there, the market is very competitive. Everyone is paying to get the right set of candidate they are looking at. So it doesn't matter that if you are able to find a people, that means those people would be interested for the role that you're offering. So the important part over here and the shift that we are seeing in the market is like the gratitude you show towards them, and certainly those conversation ends up, I would not say that's 100% proof to the solution or the problem that you have it of not people joining after the offers are being made, but probably it would certainly help out to reduce that, and eventually you have a better joining ratio when you show that gratitude towards people and you have that human connect, so that you get to know that what is the reason or what could be the other possible way you could make your process better, or if there's something that your process lags, you get to know it from them and you try to improve upon them so that you can avoid any such instances in the future. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's how the market is enacting, and that's what could be a possible solution that you could figure out a solution on those grounds.
Correct. So if you're talking about recruiters need to also have, as you said, gratitude, which is really a human and a soft skill to me, than just recruitment or finding or just that skill. So what are the different skills, and you spoke about technology skills, what are the different skills that you think today's modern recruiter should have to be successful in such a talent war driven market?
See, the understanding about what exactly the individual is looking forward to. So if you see, even if you are moving into the technological world, we were talking about AI probably a couple of years back, but we are
Hmm.
talking about metaverse right now. So metaverse is again a world where you go into to give those human touch in a digital platform or a digital world. So even in the AI world, it is learned that you require to have that human touch. So what should be your social skills you should look forward to is to understand what the person's needs are. So say for example, there could be many instances which you could fall in. Say for example, you are hiring a person right now, and probably you are looking for someone in a support role, but you approach a person who is working on a development role right now. Maybe he would take up your role right now, saying that he is not very happy in his current employer. He just wanted to make that change, and he wanted to have an offer in hand just to serve his 90 days notice period. You would be pretty happy with a thought process that chalo offer to bana liya, he will definitely join for sure because I've given a hike of 30%, 40% or 50% in his current. But that's not the psychology of the other person around. So he just took the offer just because he wanted to move out of the organization, and he needs some time to look for an alternative offer as well. So at the end of the day, which is like if the person need to serve a 90 days notice period, he might decline your offer on the 80th day or 85th day. So that would be a very complex situation for you to manage. But say for example, when you started doing the conversation with the candidate, you understand what's exactly the person is looking forward to. So that's going to only happen when you talk to the candidate, that what are the career goal of the candidate that they are looking forward to. So once you get to know that, then only you will put that on a right direction, that hey, this is going to have to be a support project. Why would you be interested to go into a support project being someone into development project from last 3 years, 4 years down the line? So I would say it would be technically a degraded role, I would say, or maybe might not be something which you would be interested for a long, because you would be working on development project throughout. So counter questioning, understanding the vibe of the candidate would certainly help you in avoiding any such instances in the future. So that's what connect you require, that's what social skills you require in order to ask those questions and eventually jot down those pointer and then give out your conclusion that will this person be a right fit for the role what I am hiring, or should we look out for someone else, so that we avoid any such instances in the future. So that's what I would say on the perspective of social skill, or probably talking on something which is apart from technology, more of an human skill you need to develop, or a recruiter should develop.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So, Arindam, I mean, you've worked on different projects. You've worked on India, global, APAC, different kind of geographies. So, in your career journey, what was that one moment or one milestone that you think, or a really good success story that you, if you want to share, which made you proud, or with something in your recruiting career you will always remember that experience? So you have to put put that one experience or one moment, what that would be.
I think that was an interesting one that happened last week itself. So we were
Hmm.
interviewing a candidate for one of our role out here in the organization. So I found out this guy from LinkedIn, and in fact, after 13 years in the same company, he chose to make a move.
Hmm.
Uh, so that was an interesting conversation. So we have a very complex interview processes out here. So ideally, we're going to have 3 to 4 rounds of discussion. So this guy was not very much into interviewing in different companies. So it's more about that he didn't know how exactly to face all those interviews throughout the processes. So what happened is like I actually connected to him and tried to reduce his anxiety during the conversation. So very interestingly, this person went to the final stages of the interview process, but unfortunately, he didn't make it to the point after clearing 4 to 5 rounds of discussion. But he wrote an feedback about me and probably the feedback about the interview process, which said that uh, it was great to have, even though he was unsuccessful in the interview processes, he showed that the connect that we made throughout the process, he wished that in his next processes, wherever he go, he would like to see this kind of process where a recruiter connects to them after every discussion and certainly boost up the morale of those and then help them out. What should they prepare? What are the areas they should focus upon? And how exactly the outlook of this role would look like after they start a role out here. So it's actually draws a complete roadmap to them, and eventually that was he was very excited to see that, and he showed that gratitude in return, which I've showed it to him earlier. So that's something which made me feel great, because see, you could hear great story from people who get selected, join your
Yeah.
company, and then they share a feedback about your process. But your actual feedback comes from the people who were unable to clear the discussion process, and then they share a positive feedback about how you are doing, or what we are doing right, or what we are doing wrong. So that was something which was very interesting, and that certainly touched my heart while doing that conversation as well with him after that, once he sent me that email. But yeah, suddenly that connect happened right now, right? So he probably might not be a right fit for this role. He could be a great fit for some other role. So I that disconnect that happened certainly would allow me. He's just one call away from me. So you know how exactly it's in Europe, right? So we have those GDPR, so you cannot connect to people directly, just how we do it out here in India. Just take up a phone call and then make a call whenever you want it. In Europe, it is not like that. But this engagement made it in that way that I'm just call away from him. He's just call away from me. So that relationship building happened. Now, whenever I get a roles, which though I would say his feedback came out to be very good, but he was not a right fit for that role. But suddenly I could rotate him for the other roles as well. So he's just one call away. And eventually, this kind of situation happened in the past as well, that a person didn't qualify for role A, but for role B, he was a perfect fit, and I have closed those roles just with one profile. I mean, you wouldn't require to share 4 or 5 profiles. With that person itself, I've closed that role. So that's how you keep on building that relationship, and certainly helps you out when you have those talent war outside. But you don't have to worry about the talent war, because you have already built up a rapport with a candidate who is eventually a right fit for you. So this is what a very good experience which I would share you that happened last week, and it was the most recent one, but it keeps on happening. But this was the most recent one which I would share it with you.
Uh, Amazing, amazing. I think again it goes back to the point that you made around gratitude and being human, is to really understand what candidates are looking for and providing that experience. And I've always believed that recruitment is like sales, and not just because it is about numbers and it is about offers, but it's really at the heart of it. It is a relationship building, right? I mean, not just it's not a transactional thing. Changing a job for anyone is a life changing event, and recruiters are enabling the candidates to take the right decisions for themselves as well as for the company to have win-win. So thank you so much, Arindam. That was a really good example and something that I'm sure listeners will be inspired from. So Arindam, let's move on to my last segment, which is the rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You need to give a spontaneous response, not without, I mean, not, don't think too much, whatever comes to your mind first. Are you ready?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Okay, great. So, favorite sourcing tool?
My brain.
Perfect. LinkedIn or Naukri or job portal?
I think neither of this, but probably to answer any one between the two, I would say LinkedIn.
Okay. One word to define tech talent market today.
Oh, it's very versatile and dynamic as well. Sorry for using the second one as well, but both versatile and dynamic.
That's fine. What would you say to a candidate asking for 100% hike?
I won't go to a conclusion by saying that, sorry for elaborating, but I would
That's
like
fine.
to make this answer more, in fact, a little descriptive so that people understand about it. So it's not about you make up a decision by saying that, hey, he's looking out for 100% hike, then we should not go ahead with the candidate. There could be hundreds of possibilities that a person is looking out for 100% hike. Maybe could be possibility that he or she would be paid less what market pays for that skill set. There could be possibility that in the same company he wouldn't have gone got hike from last 2 years because of the current pandemic situation. So there are multiple factors, so we shouldn't conclude with that thought that he's looking out or she's looking out for 100% hike means no, it's a no go. So if I have a budget, you also have to talk about why you are doing that. But we usually here in India we ask for their current salary, but in Europe or in any of the most of the Asia Pacific country are not supposed to ask their current salary what they are. It's more about what their expectations are. But this is more answerable to Indian perspective, that if you're looking into any people, just don't go with the conclusion that he's looking for 100% hike. Let's not go ahead with this person. There could be so many factors that depends on that.
Okay. And last question is, will robots take over recruitment?
No, they won't, because if you see the current scenario, again, the quote which I started with, that technology enables, but your wisdom and knowledge converts. And again, if you see now, we are moving one step ahead than what we call it as machine learning, or if you say the robotic processing that we see it right now. So we move to a stage which is called metaverse. So in metaverse, even if you see that technology is, the AI technology is being used, but there's a human touch that is happening. So
Hmm.
there is a human which is supporting that conversation. So there was a conversation in between that robot would eventually take the place of humans, but if you see, there's a gradual shift that is happening right now, that humans are again controlling this, you know
Hmm.
which is again the futuristic of, or the future of recruitment as well. So my answer is no.
Perfect. So, last question, Arindam. If the listeners and the fraternity wants to reach out to you, what are your social coordinates and where they can reach you and speak with you?
They can reach out to me in any of the social media platform. I'm almost everywhere. And eventually, even if you type it in Google, you will find me in the second spot itself, because I've optimized my profile in a way so that you can easily find me. So you can find me in LinkedIn, you can find me in Facebook, you can find me in Insta, you can find me anywhere. I mean, most of the social media coordinates, you will find it with my ideal name, which is Arindam Dev. So yeah, you can find me anywhere in any of the social media platforms. Just connect to me wherever you want it, and we can have a quick chat and conversation. And maybe after the pandemic goes off, so we can go over a coffee or something, and have
Yeah,
have a great chat
absolutely.
there.
Okay. Okay, great. Perfect. Arindam, thank you so much for your amazing conversation today. I think I personally learned so much about the gratitude and the candidate experience and engagement that you spoke about. So again, thank you so much for being part of this conversation. And for all of the listeners, please let me know how you find this conversation. Please comment on the video and also suggest any other great humans in HR whom you want me to feature on this on this podcast. We will continue to do this once a month, and please share this with your colleagues, with the HR industry, with recruiters. Since this is early, I'm happy to take some feedback to improve this. Yeah. With that, thank you so much, Arindam, again, and see you very soon.
Sure, Sarang. Thank you.
Okay, great.